We are so glad you could join us here today on Merrifield's Gardening Advisor. You know, there's a special holiday coming up this week, so just a couple of short days away. So today we're going to focus on Valentine favorites. That's what we're calling it today.
Yep, so we'll have lots of ideas for that, but Amy Strunk is joining us again today. Amy is one of our talented landscape designers, was here last week talking with us about pruning. Yep. But Amy's also very, very involved with our floral department as well, and the flower arrangements and getting ready for Valentine's. So we're glad you could be back to join us today.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here today, and better today than later this week because I'll be up to my eyeballs in flowers. So
that's right.
Thanks for finding time for me on Saturday.
Right. So you've got lots of great things in store for us today, right?
We do. We do. We're going to talk about cut flowers. We're going to talk about roses. We're going to talk about tropicals. We're going to cover some greenhouse plants. And then we're going to move outdoors. So really we're going to cover everything from small to big in the landscape and what to get your Valentine.
And even if you don't need to find something for your Valentine, we've got great ideas for you today. That's right. Well, before we get started, just a couple quick announcements. Let's find out what's happening at Merrifield Garden Center today with our seminars, which are ongoing. Today at our Merrifield location, you're in for a treat because Chef Lillian will be there talking about delectable desserts. So, you know, what better way to start off a Valentine's or pre-Valentine's weekend that some ideas for something that would be yummy for Valentine's.
Something sweet.
That's right. So that's at 10 a.m. at our Merrifield location. It's at the Merrifield Community Hall right next door to our Merrifield location. And then at our Gainesville location.
Yep, at our Gainesville location we have Perennials with Personalities, hosted by Karen Rexroad. One of our talented staff always has really unusual, unique ideas. So feel free to come out to our Gainesville store again this morning, 10 a.m. and check out what she has to offer.
You'll notice that we're just talking about our Merrifield and Gainesville stores today, because at our Fair Oaks location, we are going to have the Just for Kids seminars, but it was so overwhelmingly popular because we asked people to sign up ahead of time, and it was amazing, the response. So we actually had to split it into two seminars.
And they are both full.
So they are both full.
Yep.
But because of that, we are planning on trying to offer some more of those during the next couple of months. So as soon as we can work that out. So if you're not on our email mailing list already, go to the website merrifieldgardencenter.com and join that, because we will be sending out e-blasts and information that way. So it's a great way to check out all kinds of information, to be on our email mailing list. And also at the website you can get the complete list of the seminar schedule. And so we'll put back up what we're doing next week then.
Right. So next week we've got our curb appeal, how to be a successful gardener, and living fences. So those are at all three of our locations at 10 a.m. with all of our talented staff. So please come in, see our seminars, and learn perhaps a little something new.
Actually, my dad, Bob Warhurst, is going to be doing the Successful Gardener. I was talking about him last night because he did a couple of those in the spring, and he says, "No, I'm going to change it up. I'm definitely going to change it up." So
okay, well, come here from
before,
Bob.
you've got to hear it again.
And he certainly is a successful gardener, so you want to learn what he has to say.
And one more exciting thing going on this weekend at our Fair Oaks location on Sunday, February 10th from 2 to 4 p.m., again at Fair Oaks, the Arlington Rose Foundation is presenting a wonderful speaker. It's Tara Kraus, who is a organic perfumer, and she's going to be talking about roses and the lost art of natural perfumery. I have a hard time saying that.
Sounds very interesting, and a perfect weekend also.
Absolutely. So it's going to be wonderful. So stop by and take advantage of that. If you have any questions, you can go to www.arlingtonrose.org for all the information. I know there's going to be light refreshments. They've got a rose bouquet or a couple of rose bouquets for a door prize, I think that's about it. So lots going on.
Sounds good. Sounds busy.
I know. But last year they had a great speaker too. So the folks at the Arlington Rose Foundation are just great. They help us out a lot during the year. So stop by, support them. If you want to join the organization, that'd be great too.
Great. Well, it is going to be a busy weekend there, but we're going to get on with the show now. I wanted to start out by talking a little bit about watching birds in the backyard. Now, like I said, our topic today is going to be Valentine's Day, and we've got lots of gift ideas, but you know what? Maybe your Valentine enjoys watching the birds, right? Yeah, I mean, who doesn't?
That's right.
I me's this is something that really everybody can enjoy. You know, gardeners, non-gardeners, kids, adults, you know, elderly, everybody.
Look how cute.
I mean, he's even got his Valentine's red on.
That's right.
Exactly, seemed appropriate because it really, you know, in the winter, you know, we always talk about how beautiful it is and, you know, trying to appreciate the beauty of winter, but it does get a little dull. And so when you can get the bright colors of the birds in there, that certainly adds a lot of enjoyment to it.
That is true.
So the cardinals, of course, you put the feeders out. We've got so many beautiful birds out there. The finches, and I have to mention these are the finches in their breeding colors there for summertime. You know, in the wintertime right now, they're kind of a little bit of a dull olive gray color, but they're one of the species that will molt and go into these really bright yellow colors as we head into the summertime.
Gorgeous.
I know, they are beautiful. I always love seeing them flitting about the feeder.
Right. So, of course, everybody loves feeding the birds, but one of the things that I know I run into with customers most of the time is, well, it seems like everybody's dealing with squirrels out in the landscape as well.
Yes.
So this is one of the things that we have a lot of different squirrel-resistant feeders at the garden center. I just didn't have time to bring them all in. But one of our most popular is this Squirrel Buster. Squirrel Buster is a feeder that there's several different designs. This particular one is for feeding the finches. It holds that little Niger
Tiny seed, right, exactly.
It's in there.
But it has this nice cage on it so that the squirrels can't get into it, but that the birds can.
Right, and what I want to show, most of these squirrel-resistant feeders work sort of on the same principle. I was trying to show a bird can perch on here and feed, but when a squirrel tries to perch onto that, it just sort of this cage falls down, locks them out of the feeding port. So there's all different variations on this design, but if you want to feed the birds and not the squirrels,
this is the right mechanism for you.
Right, so talk to us about that. Great. Now we're going to go back to some pictures here. So that's one idea as far as feeding finches. But here we've got a little wren. This is one of my little favorites because she just sits out there and sings.
Fat little puffy body there. Look at how sweet.
Yeah. But like I said, in these wrens, along with a lot of birds, typically what will happen is during the growing season, warmer weather, they feed a lot on insects. You know, they're eating caterpillars to be one of their primary food sources, and that gives them the fat and the protein that they need to sustain themselves through the wintertime. I mean, or through the summertime, but in the winter, when insects are less available, they still need the fat and the protein so they have the energy to keep themselves warm, especially during the cold weather. So it's really important that we put suet cakes out. And so I just brought in, you know, there's all different kinds of suet and flavors of suet and different types of suet feeders. But essentially what happens is suet, it's basically it's rendered animal fat and then is mixed with different bird seed and mixtures.
Or flavors.
Right, so the birds can perch on there and get something to eat.
Lift that up a little bit so you can see that.
So this is a nice suet feeder. It's got this nice copper roof on it so that any water would repel off of it and not keep the food wet. So it stays nice and dry for the birds. But like David said, we've got tons of different flavors. You know, we want a little variety in our lives, so I'm sure the birds do too.
All right, and then maybe, Debbie, I'm going to ask you, I'll hold this. If you can pull that other bird feeder up here real quick, because I just want to show, now this is one where they've taken a regular seed feeder, you know, bird seed feeder, and put the suet baskets on the side there.
So you could just pop this, you know, right in once it's out of its packaging. Exactly. Oh, there you go. It works.
Yeah.
So you could feed both from a feeder and from a suet cake.
Right, exactly. And we're bringing this up, of course, because we have a special that we're running on suet cakes right now at all three of our stores. This is a really great deal where you can buy, we're selling this bulk pack. It's a case of 10 suet cakes for $10. Or $9.99 to be exact.
It's a great deal. This will keep your birds happy through the winter and keep you enjoying the view out your windows, or even if you're out in the garden.
Right. And one last thing, because I know we're running over, but sometimes people saying, well, what am I going to do with 10 suet cakes? You can put these in the freezer. They actually store quite well. And they're going to eat them a lot faster than you realize.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's a super deal.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to take a quick break and come back with some great ideas for your Valentine or for yourself. As you can see, as we're coming back and forth in our breaks, we're showing lots of ideas for Valentine gifts. And we actually did a video last year, and we liked it so much we decided to play it again this year that we're going to show you with some Valentine ideas. But I've got a spoiler alert for you. One or two of the plants in there that we've talked about are so popular that we've had a little problem with inventory. So you might just check at the stores before you come out if you're looking for something specific. But let's take a look. Since Valentine's Day is right around the corner, we thought we'd bring you out to our Fair Oaks location today. And I'm here with Amy Strunk, one of our very talented floral designers. We're here in the fresh floral design area, and we've got some great ideas for you for Valentine's Day. Now, roses are always a favorite.
Roses are always a traditional Valentine's favorite, and we offer beautiful premium long-stemmed roses. This is one of our options here, boxed with water tubes, so they are able to be transported home to your loved one. They have baby's breath, beautiful ferns. This is a gorgeous coral color, but they do come in a variety of colors that we will have in stock. Speaking of beautiful colors, this is also our long-stemmed premium rose arrangement with fresh greenery in this gorgeous lavender color and lightly fragrant. And speaking of fragrance, this arrangement here has some beautiful freesia and some purple stock in it. So if your loved one is not in a rose mood, we can do something customized to your specifications. We take orders at all 3 of our stores, so feel free to give us a call ahead of time or come into the stores and pick them up.
And we can deliver as well in the local area.
Yes, we can.
Great. These are wonderful, wonderful ideas. But if you're looking for something a little different, David is out in our greenhouse with some more great ideas. David?
Thanks, Debbie. And cut flowers are a wonderful gift to receive for Valentine's Day, but sometimes it's nice to give a live plant. This way you can continue to enjoy it for weeks, months, maybe even years after the holiday has passed. So we're looking at the Rieger begonias right here with all this spectacular colors. And this is a plant that can continue to give you 4, 6, 8 weeks of color indoors. And given proper care, maybe even last longer than that. The key to keeping these plants healthy and blooming is cool temperatures. Kind of in that 55, 65, maybe even up to 70 degrees is ideal growing conditions. Bright bin direct light, and then also keep them moist. That means not soaking wet, not bone dry, just finding that happy medium. And if you do that, you can continue to enjoy them for months by putting them out in your garden as the summer approaches and all danger of frost is past. So that's just one idea. We're going to step over here and see what else we can find. Hydrangeas have been a centerpiece of gardens for many years. Beautiful flowers, and again you see the pink and the blue color, and it's kind of neat because you can change the color based a little bit on the pH of the soil that's there. Now these have been forced into bloom during the winter time so they can be used as gifts for Valentine's Day. So this would be a neat plant to consider giving. Even though it is intended for use as a potted plant inside, you can put these out in the landscape after all danger of frost is past, and you have a pretty good chance, I'm going to say a little better than 50-50 odds of this surviving, so it might even become a permanent part of your landscape and provide lasting memories that way. And we've got many other things to look at. I wanted to talk a little bit about anthuriums and calla lilies. Now the anthurium is so great for Valentine's Day because you have these little heart-shaped flowers. Again, they can come in shades of pink, white, even deep red. Some of them have deep burgundy leaves, so there's many varieties to choose from. Now the key to keeping these things looking nice is the plant needs to be kept moist. If it dries out, it's going to immediately wilt and let you know, and you can water it and it will recover, but it may come at a little bit at the expense of the blooms. I thought this was an interesting presentation. Again, this is the red anthurium, but it's just been put into this vase filled with water. So again, same plant, just a nice presentation. Now I also brought some calla lilies over because the calla lily, you can see it's in the same family, it's closely related, it has that same spathe and spadix type of bloom, but here it's a little more of a trumpet form. Again, calla lilies are marginal in their winter hardiness around here, but even after the flowers have faded, you could try planting in your garden as long as it's in a moist environment, and you have a pretty good chance it might even become a permanent residence there. So these are just some other fun ideas you might think about for Valentine's Day, and we hope you'll come in and see us soon because there's lots of other things to choose from.
Absolutely, and again, I guess it was the hydrangeas and the calla lilies. The hydrangeas especially have been so popular that we've had a little inventory problem, so just check at each store. I know Fair Oaks and Merrifield are well, pretty well stocked, but I'm not sure about Gainesville. So just check, but lots of great ideas if they're not there. Do want to mention too, you saw the beautiful roses, both in the boxed or the vase. So if you could, we'd appreciate if you order ahead of time. If you could get your order in by February 11th, that helps us. We will of course have available on the 14th as well, but just helps us out to get your order in.
Preps us and keeps us ready for you.
Right, and the great prices on them. $49.99 for the box, $69.99 for the vase. So
correct.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Okay. And then we've got one more plant we wanted to show real quick, right?
Right. Yeah, the greenhouse is full of color. I mean, there's so many beautiful flowers that you got to see a little bit of them in the video. But I brought this in this clivia also because it's just that color is really hard to find.
It is very unusual. I know a lot of people love reds and oranges, and this is a perfect one. It's got these beautiful strap-like leaves, really nice tall stalk with the whole cluster of flowers at the top. Long bloomer, actually. These are a month, maybe?
Yeah, they will bloom for a long time, and the other is the foliage on here is evergreen, so even after the flowers faded, you get that nice dark green leaf. It's not a hardy plant. I mean, it's not winter hardy, so that's why you bring them inside the flower.
Right.
But then during the summertime, you can put that out in your deck or patio. So again, we're talking about Valentine's. Hey, the roses are beautiful. Everybody's going to love them, but if you want to go non-traditional, tropical to kind of warm things up here in the wintertime, this might be a plant to consider.
Great idea.
Definitely one to put on the list.
That's right. Okay, we'll take a quick break and come back with more great ideas. Stay tuned. Hi everybody, welcome back. You guys are ready with more ideas here.
Oh,
David, the attack of the orchids.
We're armed with our plants. We're ready. You can tell who the plant geeks are, right? David and I are like hugging our orchids here.
Well, we've got so many to show off.
We've got handfuls of plants, literally.
Yeah, but like I say, this Valentine's is coming up this week, so we really want to try and promote the flowers that we have in there. And of course, you can do a little thing non-traditional. Now, orchids are terrific plants to have for everybody.
Yes.
But of course, really nice choice here as Valentine's is coming up. Beautiful, beautiful ones. Kind of strange here. I'll trinket this. This particular one I'm talking about is a Phalaenopsis orchid. It's probably, well, not probably, it is the most popular of all the orchids because it's probably the easiest one to grow. It also gives us repeat flowering and long-lasting blooms. Because there's so many different orchids, it becomes like an obsession. You start collecting these.
Yeah, you can't just have one.
No, you really can't.
That's my rule, at least.
It's happened in our house, I can tell you.
Well, they're all so beautiful and they're all so different. I mean, David's talking about these Phalaenopsis, the larger face of the orchid is what this one's specific to. The one that I'm holding here is a lady slipper orchid. So a little bit different. This one is called Dragon's Flight. Actually, I love that name. But this has a beautiful, actually fuzzy stem, and it's got this beautiful bulbous base to the bottom of the bloom, and these really delicate twisted blooms. They're just spectacular. They're mottled, they're green and burgundy. Oh, there you go, you can see it up close. Just absolutely beautiful. I think these are so delicate and so pretty.
They are now.
So exotic.
Exactly, a little difference. Now this is these orchids, the Paphiopelums or the lady slipper orchids. Now that's going to take a little more attention and skill in gardening. So we encourage you to think outside the box in a sense, and to rather than just growing the Paphiopelums to grow them, all the variety and add to your collection and stuff. But like I say, as you get into this, you start learning more about the care and the culture. That's an orchid that's grown in bark. It needs a little bit more sunlight, but it's a beautiful one. I also want to show this Oncidium that you have behind you.
Hold on, we're going to trade hands here.
Right.
Hold on.
And I know it's all these big long names that really discourage people.
Don't get discouraged. They're much easier than you think that they are, and the beauty is so worth it. This is also called Dancing Lady, is another name for this orchid. If you look at the blooms up close, they almost look like a little person with a skirt with their arms out, which is why it's called Dancing Lady.
You are absolutely right.
Isn't it cool? I know. So it's one of those things that you slowly learn over time that you know, encourages you to do it. But this has 2 stalks that are in bloom and 2 stalks that haven't even bloomed yet. So this is another months away from being fully bloomed out. But gosh, David, this color combination between those 2 is beautiful.
Yeah.
Maybe this will be my Valentine's Day present,
There
Greg.
you go. Yeah, I was gonna say, Greg, you watch it?
Yeah, that is a gorgeous
Graham?
orchid right there.
That's what Mommy wants.
Yeah, exactly, honeybee.
Exactly, but that one you need a little bit more sunlight to grow it. And the real thing with orchids is anytime people are having troubles because they've been killed with kindness, the thing is to allow them to dry out between watering. The only time I see people bringing problem orchids in is
when they've
watered them a
overloved
bit
them
too much.
Yes. So less is more with the orchids if you think about where they grow. Tropical rainforests. You know, they get that really nice deep watering and then they dry out in between storms. So that's an ideal conditions for it.
Well, we also want to show off the cyclamen because we have a beautiful selection of those available, and this is great for a winter color in the home.
Absolutely.
This is great for winter color. I oftentimes take these as housewarming gifts for people because they're fairly low maintenance. They take just about any kind of light. They're easy to water, and they're beautiful. We have here today we have pink and red to show you, but they come in white with the pink tip, pink with the white tip, fully red, ruffled, double ruffle. I mean, the options with these are incredible. And the foliage, I think, is spectacular too. That has this beautiful gray and silver modeling.
Right, and I intentionally brought in the standard size and the miniature as well.
Right, so that you could see a little bit of variety. So big and mini, but both absolutely beautiful and both a really nice addition to your collection.
Right, definitely they like a cool temperature, cool room that's going to be staying in about sort of that 55 to 65 degree temperature range. So if you have that type of environment, you can get long-lasting color out of them. We're going through a bunch of stuff fast because this is just a few of the things that we have in our greenhouse. So I wanted to talk about African violets.
So another big and mini here. I love them both. I know this is very much an old-fashioned plant, many may say. I know my grandmother grew these and had a whole bunch of them on her windowsill, which to me is a fond memory. And it may be for many of you. I'm sure any of your moms or grandmas grew them. These ones are really, really spectacular. Again, this one has a much smaller leaf than the full-size variety. Both we brought purple to give you guys a little difference in color, but this one is actually, they both are edged in white. Really beautiful. They like to be watered from the bottom. So this is actually in an African violet pot. This is just, whoops, in a smaller pot inside of this decorative pot.
Right. I just brought the ones that I liked most.
Selfishly, that was David's.
That's why they're both purple with the white edge on it. You know, but you're right. There's so many different ones.
So we know what David wants for Valentine's Day.
That's right.
I did want to show off now. This is a self-watering pot. And there's 2 components to
Reservoirs,
it.
Right.
So this is a reservoir that would hold water in it, and it's glazed. The pot that slips inside of that is not glazed. It's porous. So that allows that water to seep through there and keeps the moisture kind of consistent. So this is what they call an African violet pot, which does make caring for them a little bit easier. So you don't have maybe pay quite as close attention to watering on. So another nice presentation for your Valentine.
Exactly, a nice combination.
Speaking of combination, we have some combination plants, and we've got one to show you on the set here.
Yep, right down here where the top of my hand is, we have a beautiful combination basket. So it is a planted mix of, I guess, greenhouse favorites. So there are, there's a little palm in here, there's a little Dracaena spike in here, we've got a trailing ivy, kalanchoe. So there's a really beautiful combination for your Valentine, or even just a nice gift for yourself to have on a coffee table or in you know, a living room or kitchen.
Do we want? Can you lift that up a little bit?
Can we see that?
It is so pretty.
We're not seeing it.
It is really pretty. There we go.
Stay, hold it.
Hold on. There we go. Hold her still. There we go.
There we go.
Okay, so you can see, and it's in a really nice little, it actually looks like a trunk. Like a very pretty little.
It's very cute.
Yeah, very cute. So a sweet way to present something.
And we have them in baskets as well, but again, I was picking out the ones that I liked.
Yeah.
And one other thing, the ivy topiaries, I just love. We've got here on the desk.
Very traditional plant, but unusual form. So this is that topiaried form that is in a heart shape.
Right.
So we have them just in the straight ball, but nice gift for a sweetie.
That's right. So when we come back, we're going to switch gears a little bit, transition from the greenhouse into the outdoors with some beautiful blooms there too. Yeah, stay tuned.
Welcome back to Merrifield Garden Center. Valentine's Day is just around the corner, and boy, I tell you, if you come to Merrifield Garden Center, we have got everything and things that you never even thought of for that special Valentine.
That is true.
Right. Now, we've been talking about beautiful flowers, both from cut flowers, flowers from the greenhouse, but the other part of this is the fragrance that blooms bring into it. So we're going to switch gears a little bit, and we're going to continue talking about flowers, but focus our attention on ones that are going to give you a delightful fragrance.
And Debbie's lucky that she's getting to hold the Stephanotis.
That's right.
Because she gets to take a nice big whiff of it and enjoy that beautiful
This
fragrance.
on my side of the table.
So now we know what she wants, Rob. Pay attention.
That's right.
But that really is filling the whole studio with the fragrance this morning.
It's beautiful. A lot of people use this actually in wedding bouquets because of the delicate flower, the fragrance, and these are actually very sturdy. This is a very hard, waxy bloom. So not easily bruised, not particularly delicate looking, but not particularly delicate, which is nice for somebody who is not as gentle on their things.
Right, and you can see it's a vine, and so we have it trained on that wire to support it.
We've got a picture of this as well, I believe, right?
We did.
Yeah,
I took some pictures of the greenhouse, but it doesn't show as well in the pictures as it does in real life. So we wanted to give you both versions.
And there you see the little inset of the blooms
of the blooms up close. Yep.
Right. Now that's not the easiest plant to grow indoors because it does like a little bit cooler temperatures and it likes higher humidity. It's definitely a tropical vine, but it's one that we pursue working with because I tell you that beautiful flowers, and again the fragrance
is worth it.
which we can show you the pictures. I wish we could bring the fragrance.
Right.
Maybe the technology will be there one day.
If we could do that, we'd really be on a good track.
Okay.
But they are, like David said, do need humidity. You could put them on a humidity tray, and they do like it cool. So if you had an area near a window, you certainly could mimic those conditions and get them and keep them happy. So don't be discouraged by it. Be encouraged to try something new. And speaking of something new, we're going to talk about gardenias. Not new for many of you, but some may know that you can now grow the hardy gardenia outdoors in this area. As our climate's changing, it's becoming more adaptable. So this is a picture of the interior greenhouse plant of a gardenia. Again, very fragrant, very southern. I love just floating these in a bowl of water on the dining room table. I mean, again, talk about filling up that room with perfume. Spectacular.
Absolutely. So as we were saying, that would be an example of the one that you would grow inside your house. It's really not going to withstand the wintertime.
Right.
But we did bring in our set one of the hardy varieties.
Right, which is right over here by Debbie.
Exactly. And this is kind of neat. As you might say, we've warmed up a bit, so we're pretty solidly zone 7, and in our landscapes we're seeing more and more of these plants that were traditionally southern plants. They've increased the winter hardiness. Our winters have gotten a little bit warmer, and now we're able to bring some of these new plants in the landscape. So like I said, we're talking about flowers for your Valentine, but this also can take you outdoors.
It can take you outdoors, and we actually have a few more outdoor plants to show you. So this next picture here is of a witch hazel, which again, beautiful, spectacular winter bloomer. These blossoms are really interesting. They're held in a little tiny casing, and on a warm day, they unfurl with these beautiful strap-like tendrils and fill up the garden with fragrance. The yellow one here is Arnold's Promise, much more fragrant than the copper one in the background, which I think is probably Jelena. But I think both have merit in the garden, and I think both are definitely showcase plants. But again, the fragrance is what keeps you loving this, both up close and from a distance.
Or works our theme, because again, these are just great small trees to have in the landscape, because the fall color on them is brilliant and spectacular as well.
Oh yeah, and the shape is nice, upright vase shape, low horizontal branching. Again, a nice landscape plant.
Yeah, but it's interesting, there are plants that bloom in sort of late winter, early spring, and a lot of them do carry a fragrance because it's especially hard to find pollinators at that time of year. So they really got to put the word out.
Yes, and this is one that certainly does. This Daphne, again, another fragrant plant, actually very similar bloom to Stephanotis. That star-like bloom, again, heavy fragrance. I would say it's considered evergreen. To me, it's sort of more semi-evergreen. When it's really cold, it takes a little bit of a winter hit, but that does not mean you shouldn't plant it. This is a great plant. It likes it to be well drained, so if you have an area that has great drainage, this is probably an ideal plant for those conditions.
Right, and this is one that does have the variegated leaf margin on, so there's ones of solid green and some that have a little splash of white into it.
Exactly. So we've got this next one coming up here is flowering quince. A great, actually, Chinese Lunar New Year plant.
There you go.
Also a very old-fashioned garden plant. I know a lot of people, especially old Arlington, have beautiful, big, old quinces. I think they sort of had a lull in planting for a few years, but now we're seeing them come back. And with, gosh, blooms like this, who wouldn't want this in their garden? They're beautiful.
Yeah, I always like that combined with like the bright yellow forsythia or something, because they will bloom at about the same time.
You know, again, spring's on the way.
Yeah, but there are different varieties. So these again are sort of that late winter, early spring color.
And speaking of forsythia blooming, this next picture is a great option. A lot of people think this is forsythia, and it is not. It is winter jasmine. It is a late winter bloomer, blooms before forsythia, is a great slope stabilizer, has a beautiful yellow flower. You can see it here tumbling down this hill bank. But beautiful shiny green stems in the winter before it bursts into bloom, and then the leaves come out after that. So another really nice one to add to the landscape. And if you aren't able to get out to the garden center just yet to pick out your plants, you can always purchase a gift card for your loved ones and come out in the spring when we've got all of our inventory out and back in the bed rows, and come out then and there and take something home with you.
Absolutely.
All right, but we do have these plants in stock. We have some of them flowering, and if you felt ambitious and hardy enough, you could go out and plant them.
You absolutely could. Just make sure that you're giving them a good drink of water, because even though it's winter, plants still need that big drink in the winter.
That's right.
Yeah, but of course, realizing you may not, that's where the gift card fits in.
Right.
Well, when we come back, we're going to take your phone calls. So if you have any questions, give us a call, 703-387-1046, and we would love to talk to you when we return. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. We're taking your phone calls, 703-387-1046. And our first caller is Rose, who's calling from Sterling. What a perfect name.
I know.
Yeah, that's my time of year, huh?
That's right. It is your time.
Is.
Well, it's always your time of year. Thanks for calling.
Right. My question is, I saw on Pinterest a little, like you have a little pot and they put soil in it, and you take lemon seeds, like out of a regular lemon, and then they show in the picture that they put a scissor to it, like cut, and I don't know what they're cutting, and then they plant them like in a circle, and it's supposed to be very fragrant, like on your desk or something like that. Have you seen anything like that or heard anything like that?
I have not. I know that you can scar a lemon seed. Like whenever you're trying to get certain seeds to grow, you need to actually scratch them with either a nail file or scar them with a utility knife or something in order to break that casing. You can also soak them, but I'm not familiar with plant. I mean, I know citrus is fragrant, but I don't know how long it takes for a lemon seed to germinate from seed to a plant that actually can flower.
So if I was doing that, would I like soak them and then like get the little root coming out and then put that root inside, like that going down into the dirt?
Well, you would need to have contact with soil. So if the post is saying to scar the seed, then it's probably helping open up that casing. But then yes, you would want to plant it in soil so that then that seed can start to take root. And then once it takes root, you'll start to see a shoot, and then the shoot turns into leaves, and the leaves turns into flowers.
That's exactly how it looked. So I was just wondering what they were doing with the scissor, but that's probably what they were doing, scarring.
Yeah, they're probably scarring it. That's the only thing that I can think of. But
so that just kind of breaks that little jelly like covering on the seed.
You're exactly right. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. That's what I need to know. I appreciate it.
Sure.
Thanks,
Happy
Rose.
planting. Thanks for calling.
Happy Valentine's Day to you
Thank
all.
You too.
Thank you, Rose.
Thank you.
I was going to say that we've been on Facebook for quite a while
Right.
with a big presence there. We're just getting into the Twitter and Pinterest. So if you email me, I can forward that on to Sharon, who's been kind of handling those, and maybe she can investigate that a little bit more.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm on your Facebook page, but
Oh,
that's
great.
awesome.
Okay, good.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thanks. Okay,
right.
have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, let's see. I believe it's Rhonda who's calling from Owens, Maryland. Is that correct?
Yes. Hi, Debbie.
How
Hi,
are you?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Dave. How are y'all? I don't know the other one's name, but
Amy?
Amy.
hi. I wanted to ask y'all. I have a lot of rose bushes outside, and I haven't cut them back. And I was wondering, when do I do this, or am I too late?
Nope, you want to do it in end of February or beginning of March. There's usually a really nice day in the garden that you can get out there and start working. So when that weather breaks and it's not so cold, is the perfect time to be out there and prune. Just make sure you wear heavy gloves and take those hand pruners and disinfect them after you're cut so that you're not allowing the opportunity for pest or disease into your roses or anything else.
Yes. Oh, okay. So that's great. I have more time, right?
Exactly. You have more time, so make a cup of tea and sit down and relax for another week or two.
Oh, I will. All right. Thank y'all so much, and I love your show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great
day.
weekend. Thank you. Okay, let's see. Gretchen is calling from Forestville, and David and Amy, I believe she has a question on orchids. Is that correct?
That's correct. How are you? Good morning.
Good.
We're
How are
doing
you?
great.
Good. Well, look, I have an orchid that my daughter gave me about 5 years ago. It's in a 4-inch pot, and it's been in that pot in the living room in the same location for all these years. I've not taken it out or transplanted it yet, but it blooms beautifully every year. In fact, this past year it bloomed twice.
Great.
And the roots are coming out and everything, but I mean, when do I plant it? Every time I go to transplant it, there's a bloom, and I don't know what to do.
Wow, that's
a terrible
good,
problem.
What a good problem to have.
I was going to say, so you're calling why? Sounds great. You can talk to all of our other customers and tell them. You can repot it if you would like to. Ideally, you should repot them when they're dormant, so after they're done flowering. But I understand the repetitive flowering. I have an orchid that does that, and I've just gone ahead and repotted it. Even as it was setting buds, because it needed to be in a different pot. I would say if you've had it for 4 years and you've never moved it, I would go ahead and do it. Late winter's a great time. It should be getting dormant depending on your bloom cycle, but you want to make sure that whenever you do take it out of that pot, be gentle with those roots, cut out any dead roots, soak them really well. It's the same thing with the bark that you put it in. Make sure that bark is nice and moist so it packs in nice and tight whenever you replant it.
Okay, is there a particular size? It's in a 4-inch now. Should it go to a 6-inch or larger, or?
A 6-inch pot is really quite fine with it. I would say, sort of get an eye on how many of the roots are outside of the container.
There are at least 6 that are outside of the container now.
Yeah, and that's fairly common for orchids. Even whenever they have been repotted, it's normal for 1 or 2 or even 3 roots to be sort of coming out of the pot.
Okay,
to me, that's part of their interest and part of their charm.
But I shouldn't cut those off, just go in and repot it.
No, ma'am. Yeah, you would only want to cut off anything that was dead or that looked like it had been rotted.
Okay,
and you'll
great.
be able to tell when you take it out of the pot and start to actually look at it.
Okay.
Anything that looks brown or gray or very flat it would be a root that you would want to remove. Otherwise, if they're fat and look very fleshy or light green, that's great. Leave them be.
Okay. Well, I have about 5 of them now. They're doing beautifully. Okay, well, I'll have to take my chance on that one then.
Have a potting day. Enjoy.
All right, thank you. Love
You're
your
welcome.
program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we've got a couple more callers already. Cecilia, hang on. We'll be right back with you. We're back with your phone calls, and our next caller is Cecilia, who's calling from Rockville. Thanks for holding. How are you?
Good.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning, sir.
You had a question?
Yes. I have an orchid from last year, and then it's only one time is the bloom, and after that it never came out the flower. Is there any possible it's gonna come out any flower? Or?
Well, it is capable of blooming again, but the thing is, orchids, they do require about 10 or 15 degrees cooler at night than they do during the day. So, for example, if you just have your thermostat set at 70 degrees and it's that temperature all the time, it will not flower. A lot of times what I like to do is take my orchids and put them outdoors during the summertime, so you get that warm day, cool night cycle, and then that will get it to initiate flowering. Or if you have a room in your house that's a little cool and drafty and maybe gets chilly at night, then that can happen. So it needs at least about 30 days, 4 to 6 weeks, I'm going to say, of warm days and cool nights, and then that will get it to rebloom for you.
Okay. In the summertime, I just take it out, and the nighttime, it's bring it inside.
That's to me the easiest way to do it, but yes. Now, depending on the type of orchid, some orchids will only flower about once a year. Others, as they mature, they become what we call free flowering, and will repeat bloom for you a little bit. But that's why most of the orchids right now is the best time to be enjoying orchids, because winter really is their flowering season, because they're reacting to the cool temperatures we've had. So like if you come into the store now or something, we have such a huge selection and a huge variety of orchids available. So what I'm trying to say to you in sort of the realistic side, you may not see it bloom until next winter, but if you're able to provide it the warm days and the cool nights, it will flower.
Okay, how about right now? Now it's a winter time.
That's what I'm saying. You're probably going to be waiting a while before you actually see it bloom, because unless you have the right conditions indoors, it's not going to flower. But the thing is that they'll bloom. Sometimes these flowers can last for 3 months, so it's worth being patient with it.
Okay. So right now it's a winter time. They need a cool temperature.
They need warm days and cool nights. Your nighttime temperature needs to be 10 to 15 degrees colder than it is during the day, and that's hard to do in most homes.
Yep. Okay. We do have more information on our website. If you want to go to merrifieldgardencenter.com, we have information on our greenhouse plants, our outdoor plants, so that's another great resource. Thank you so much for calling.
No problem. Thank you.
Have a great weekend. Okay, let's see. Our next caller is Rich, who's calling from Oakton. Hi, Rich.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
I have a really full violet plant that I've had for 5 or 6 years, but it rarely blooms. Maybe once every 3 years I get flowers on it, and I'm wondering how I can get it to bloom.
Have you fertilized it?
I feed it every time I water it. I've got a liquid food that goes into the water.
Well, I guess one thing is it might be time to consider dividing it. I'm guessing this thing's probably has lots and lots of shoots off of it by now.
Gee, I'll have to check for that.
Yeah, so if what we would do is, recommend taking it out of the pot, taking a look at the roots, seeing if it's starting to, girdle or go around the interior of that pot. If it is, it's a great time to repot it. Sometimes even just the act of taking it out of the pot, gently maneuvering those roots a little bit is enough to sort of shock it into, I need to bloom again. Something's going on. So sometimes that's enough. David and I would both say fertilize. I would say a diluted fertilizer, and not every single time that you water, because it needs to go through not a dormancy period, but it needs to have a non-blooming season and a blooming season.
Well, so it's had its non-blooming season.
Well, I know
the past 3 years.
But if you're consistently giving it the nutrients, it's going to consistently feel like it's under the gun.
Okay.
Versus sort of having if you're ever training for a race, you want to be at peak performance and then off season. So same thing with plants. It needs to have a little bit of an off season to recover. So I would try those two things and see if that doesn't help. And if not, come on in. We're happy to take a look at it.
And I'm going to add one other little thing is a lot of this could also be just insufficient lighting. Now, violets do great under artificial lights.
Right.
So if it's not getting the proper amount of light, that will stop it from flowering as well.
That good.
Yeah. Okay, I'll try moving it around and try taking it out of its pot. Great.
Okay.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for the call. Okay, our next caller is Robin, who's calling from Mount Rainier. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you this morning?
Good.
Fantastic.
I have a butterfly bush in my flower bed, and I had it bloomed beautiful last year, attracted different big, huge butterflies. And I wanted to know, when do I prune it down, because it's like all over the place, and I can see leaves growing on it already. Do I cut it back, so I can get it back, keep it from growing all over the place?
So it sounds...
it doesn't have that much room to flourish.
Right, so it sounds like you said bonsai, but perhaps what you mean is butterfly bush. So if it's a butterfly bush, you can cut it back to the ground in late winter or early spring. You can also just cut it back to whatever size you'd like to keep it. They respond really well to drastic pruning. I mean, I've cut mine 6 inches from the ground, and it's been 5 or 6 feet by the end of the summer. Not everybody's confident about pruning it back that far, so you could even just take it back by 2 or 3 feet in order to contain it where it is. But yeah, I'd probably wait another month or so to prune it back. End of February, beginning of March is perfect time.
I was going to say, on our website too, we do put our old or past TV episodes on there. And if you look and watch Amy and I pruning your hydrangea in your backyard, you can treat your butterfly bush the same way.
Right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for your call.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you. We've unfortunately got to run. We've run out of time. It just flies by. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here with us this week, Amy. A lot of great ideas from the both of you. So next week we will be, actually Peggy will be here next week, and she's got a special guest, Lou Mazzatenta, who is a wonderful photographer, has many of his talented photographs in National Geographic, is going to be here and talking about garden photography. So stop by and pick up your Valentine's flowers. Have a wonderful Valentine's Day, everyone.